Welcome to Farm Talk with Bulu. In this podcast series, we discuss agriculture, we share farmers' voices and agricultural trends to inspire young Africans to embrace farming. I am Bulu Agadibayo. Alright, we're going to continue from where we started from the last episode. I talked about 3 things I didn't want you to forget. The first was that early men remained wanderers until they observed. The early men remained wanderers until they took action to produce for themselves. And they told us that early men began to think about better ways to improve their lives when there was enough food for them to eat. Now I begin to wonder why some places are not developed, why we don't see development in some places, and almost always you would have to trace it to the fact that there are many bellies that are not filled. There isn't enough food. And so when there isn't enough food in that place, the people cannot settle down to think on better ways to improve themselves. And when they don't have the time to, improve on their thinking, then they won't be able to take any initiative to improve their lives. They won't take initiatives to improve their roads. They won't take initiatives to make their lives, much better than it is. So food, once food was lacking, the element kept wandering. But once food was settled, the element could settle and the element could improve on other aspects. They could improve literature. They could improve engineering because now they had time to settle down to write. They had time to settle down to build tools. They had time to settle down to build implements and even keep improving on what they already built until their food was available and enough for them around them was when they could do this. So I think of some economies that are doing well agriculturally and sort of all around. And we look at, let's take America first. It says Americans generally spend a lower percent of their income on food than citizens of any other country. They spend only 9.3% of their income on food. France spends 11.5% on food. Italy spends 25.7% on food. And Japans, I don't know which one, they spend only 14% of their income on food. Now, I look at probably an average African, if I should even take me as an example, during our service year, what we received as an allowance the 100% of it would barely even feed you to full. And if let's say I only had needed 10% of that money to handle food, and that would take care of my feeding well for the month. I would have enough time. I would have so many other things I would use that money for that would better improve my livelihood and improve myself as a person. But I observed around that, look, many of us had to use almost everything we had on food. And there was so much hassle every day trying to think of what to eat, what not to eat, because the funds were not enough to get the things we actually did want to eat. And so there was so much brain work going into just getting food to eat. Now, we could have spent that time doing other things. There were so many other things we needed to do. But we couldn't do those other things when we were hungry. So we had to leave those things, face food, deal with the problem of food, before we could move on to doing other things. So, well, I think you should have been catching what I've been trying to say. By now, you should have been catching what I've been trying to say. So this has now become the basis for my passion towards agriculture. This has become the basis for my passion towards agriculture. I believe in Africa, in countries where there really isn't so much development, it's not giving money. If there's no point of the money, if the money cannot get food, there's no point of the many eats. If the people you want to improve, if the countries you want to see developed, if the people in those countries don't have enough to eat, you don't need to come and build cities for them. You don't need to come and build roads for them. They can do it themselves. Like we all have in us, the element. Nobody had to come and sit down with them to teach them how to do these things. Like someone once said, he said the Stone Age didn't end because people lacked stones. It was not because there was a lack of stones. They had to move on from using stones to do the things they need to do, like probably planting. They had to move on to try to use sticks because we always want to make things better for ourselves. We always want to improve. We always want to be more efficient. It came with each and every one of us as human beings. Sincerely, I would say we're naturally lazy, so we always find the easier way to do things. So if I'm running a business or anything, and I see probably one or two things are stressing me in these things, I always look for a better way to do it. So we would not improve ourselves. The only way we have the capacity to improve ourselves as countries, as nations, as a continent, is when the problem of food is settled. The problem of food is not settled, and these many other things are being improved around us. We wouldn't get to benefit from it at all. There's no way we get to benefit from it if there are many developments, there are many things that are yet untapped by Africans, Nigerians, and whoever or wherever. If the problem of food, is settled, we would find our way. We will always find our way to improve ourselves. And we have the land space, we have the animals, and we have people. We have ready people to do the work. So what I would advocate and what I will keep advocating for is that if food in the belly of men is not settled, then they wouldn't settle. They will remain wanderers and gatherers. Be all for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next week for the next episode. Thank you.